Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Yes, well, hello. Welcome to the Locker Room on a Sunday afternoon. And they say that if you're watching on Sky, that is in England, it's Super Sunday, but it's Super Sunday up here as well, because you've got the best two presenters in the world. Then you've got two good games on the TV at the moment. You've got Motherwell against Hibs. Motherwell 2, Hibs. Motherwell 1, Hibs 2. We'll keep you right up to date with that one. And also the 4 o'clock kickoff between Dundee United and the Rangers, also on the TV. Before Graham says it, I'll say it from short corner. So we're here until 5 o'clock. Get your comments coming in as always. Or whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook Live. And between now and 5 o'clock, we'll go through the rest of the games yesterday, and we'll touch upon the games taking place. Motherwell against Hibs. Graham, I think that this is a good place to start. 69 minutes on the 69 minutes gone on the clock, and it is 2-1 to Hibs. What do you make of the game so far? By the way, I've got to say hello to our wonderful colleague James Elliott. He is watching the number one sports show with the number one presenters on Indie Live Radio. Graham.
Yeah, it's been an interesting game. I think, you know what, first half, Motherwell have had chances, but they haven't managed to put the ball in the net. Van Veen probably should have scored just before Hibs got the opener. Defensively, Motherwell look all over the place at times. That second goal that Nisbet scored is awful defending. Hibs, I mean, they're winning the game, but they've not been that great, to be honest. I'm not saying that to be biased. Not really been that. They've scored the 2 goals they've had, but Motherwell are back into this game with that goal just a wee while ago. And I said to you before we came on the show, if Motherwell get the next goal, I think they could win this game because they're on top just now. But, you know, Motherwell haven't won since October 29th. This is a big game for both these teams. Hibs need to win. Motherwell need to get something out of this, I think. So it's a big last 20 minutes. But the way things are going just now, Motherwell look the more likely team to score.
Do you think it's because they've got home advantage, Graham, that's kind of like kind of helping them? And saying that, Motherwell's got a free kick here, so but do you think Motherwell's got home advantage here?
Yeah, but that hasn't really happened. That really hasn't many times this season. Their home form's not been great. I just think, you know, just before Hibs scored the opening goal through Nisbet, as I say, Van Veen has a really good chance. If he takes a better touch, he's in on goal. It's a poor touch. Hibs got the park and score. You know, that's pretty clinical, but I mean, Motherwell look a lot better second half. It's like the Hearts game yesterday. Hearts are poor first half, better second half. It's been like that this game. Motherwell looked a lot better second half. And as I say, if there's one team looks likely to score, it is Motherwell. Now I've said that, Hibs will probably score, but I've not been that impressed by Hibs. Yes, they are 2-1 up, but Motherwell have been the better side for me, and quite the second half especially.
And Kevin Nisbet got an early goal. He scored the second goal before we came on air. But yeah, I mean, quick scat from Hibs with the Nisbet goal, and you know, Hibs kind of like look kind of comfortable, but as the more the game's went on, Motherwell slightly came into the game.
Yeah, they have definitely. I mean, even first half, Motherwell had a couple of decent opportunities, but you know, nothing really very much. And I've just been told James Elliott's just saying 3-1 to Hibs. He must be in front of me because I've not seen that yet. But yeah, I mean, if that is the case, then it's a massive result for Hibs. They needed that after the Derby performance and defeat. But I'm just trying to see if I can watch this goal here. What's happened here? I think my TV must be a few minutes. Yeah, I mean, Motherwell, they've had a couple of decent opportunities, but if it is 3-1 to Hibs, then fair enough. It's a great win for Hibs. Motherwell have got a lot of work to do because at the moment, and I've said this so many times in this show, if Van Veen doesn't score, they look very, very poor going forward.
Yeah, I think it is still 2-1 because James says you're right. So there you go. First time for everything, Graham, that you're right. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, all the that's as we 3-1 Hibs, and Nisbet's got his hat trick, Graham.
Boo! It's a good finish, to be fair. Just it
Good
was
finish,
good play on the right hand side, decent ball in, and Nisbet gets in the score sheet again. That'll do his confidence a lot of good, actually.
And that'll be the doubters of Lee Johnson off his back for another week, you would say, because going into the game, what a finish by Nisbet there, what for the third goal. But you would say the doubters were going into the game that Hibs needed to win the game, not a point, but 3 points.
Yeah, probably a good thing they're playing against a Motherwell team that is very low now, and hasn't since October. Again, it is a good finish, but it's poor defending again for Hibs. I mean, all Sten supporters were in a challenge half, and it's a good ball in, defending again for Motherwell. He's got to cut that ball out. It's poor defense. His second goal, first finish, and that's a good finish. But Motherwell again defensively. I think I might. Michael here.
I think we're having a few technical problems in the people's. But no, I think that's a good day, but I think we're back now, Graham.
Yeah, back on. A few gremlins here in the system, I think.
Yeah, still kicking about from the new year, but so you would say in paper it's it's 75 minutes gone, but you would say it's a good 3 points for Hibs.
Yeah, they needed that, absolutely needed that, and if the score stayed the same and it looks likely, then it's a massive 3 points. And as you said, Johnson had a lot of pressure. I spoke the other day about the fact that when he comes out in the press, he kind of criticises his players a little bit too much for me. He won't be doing that today. He'll be praising them. And of course, Kevin Nisbet, back in the score sheet, a hat trick for him. That'll do us a lot. In terms of another poor result, another not great performance, that's got to be a worry for Stephen Hamill. I said on Friday as well, they've got to strengthen in January. They need at least 3 or 4 players, especially in forward areas. But that's a massive blow for them. But it's a good result for Hibs. It's a massive 3 points if they hold on to that. James Elliott says Nisbet and Marshall are the difference here. Yeah, I think he's right. Marshall's he made a really good save in the first half, actually. And yeah, he's maybe not been as busy as we would have thought, but it's a huge 3 points for Hibs if they hold on to that.
Now, Graham, we always like the locker rooms exclusive on the show, right? And I'm not saying this because he has scored a hat trick, but I did hear something a couple of weeks ago from a good source working with Stevie Clark. Stevie Clark is now looking at Nisbet for the next Scotland squad. Is it March, February time?
It's about March, yeah. I think it's about March.
Yeah. Do you think that would be a good call for Stevie Clark to include him in the squad? Going by Kegaith for him, yeah. But overall,
I think he'll be in the squad. But for me, and again, not putting my biased hat on here, he's behind Lawrence Shankland. Lawrence Shankland's got 18 goals. Black.
Yep. Oh, the wee gremlins are in the back of the network today, so this will be a fun show. We've got another 2 hours to fill on this one, and until we get Graham back, Graham actually looks nice with that picture on screen. 78 minutes gone on the clock at Fir Park. It's still Motherwell 1, Hibs 3, Kevin Nisbet with a hat trick. And it's been a good 3 points for Hibs. If this kind of lasts, obviously Graham's get fed up on my jokes, so you have to keep up. You have to keep with me until Graham comes back. You're listening to The Locker Room on Indie Live Radio and Indie Penguins Live. If you want to comment on anything that we're saying here, you can do that on YouTube or Facebook Live. And of course, we're here until 5 o'clock. While we wait for Mr. Duffy to come back, let me tell you that we're on next week as well, next Friday, between 5 and 7. And also we are on Saturday night after the Celtic game at Celtic Kilmarnock in the League Cup semi-final, and also on Sunday between Rangers and Aberdeen. We are on from 5 o'clock. Mr. Duffy is now back. How's it going, Graham?
Right, I'm going to try and do this on my phone, so this will be interesting because my laptop seems to be having a few bugs around it, so I'm going to try and do this on my phone. This will be interesting.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. So while you were away, you never miss much. All you miss me is talking nonsense again, before James can come back in. So, 10 minutes to go in this game, Graham, and good win for Hibs after coming back from a derby defeat against Hearts as well.
Yeah, it was, and I think we spoke about it on Friday that the performance against Hearts was very poor, but Hearts played well for most of that game. But I think today the team news was interesting because he benched Will Fish and he bished McCurdy, who basically pretty much threw into the deep end on Monday. So it was a big call, and he seems to have got it right. So again, Kevin Nisbet's getting a hat trick. Great for him, but you have to say they are playing against a Motherwell side that is very low on confidence just now. This is a huge blow for Motherwell, I think, but as I say, it's going to be a massive 3 points for Hibs. They needed that after Monday.
Yeah, no, exactly. 10 minutes gone off the game. I don't know if you've got any team news yet for the Dundee United game, Graham. Dundee United against Rangers. Of course, that's the last game in the Premiership. 4 o'clock kickoff.
I did have, but I had it on my phone, which I'm now using, so I can't find it.
Okay, that's good. Well, I'll try and fight with my computer, and we'll get the team news as well before 4 o'clock. Obviously we'll be looking back at the games, Graham, but obviously looking back in yesterday's games as well. Before we kind of dive into action, I think this is the first show we've actually did for a wee while. It's not really had much of VR controversy this weekend.
Oh, give it time. There's still time. No, it hasn't. It's actually been it's been quite nice actually not having VR to talk about today because every show we do, we seem to talk about it. So yeah, it's quite nice not to have that. There was maybe a couple of moments in the Hearts game yesterday. I know we'll get to that. Marcus Fraser getting sent off for a really daft stamp on George Grant. But yeah, there's not been a lot, and it's actually quite nice to have that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean that was I don't know what the St Mirren man was thinking of that diving in. He shouldn't have dived in, And did you guys hear right last night the highlights that St Mirren lost? Went down to 10 men in the last 3 games now. So I don't want to say St Mirren's got a disciplinary.
They had Erahon sent off the other day as well. So
yeah, and
I'm just trying to see if I can find the teams.
And Mark O'Hara as well. So I think they've got a bit of a kind of issue. I'm sorry, St Mirren fans, if you're watching this, but I think they've got a kind of bit of an issue in terms of red card. So,
I did have the teams up. Well, here we go. Hang on. I think I've got the teams up for the
Well
United
done.
Rangers game yet.
Yep.
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
There you go.
So United have Birigitting goals. I'm going to read that out as it's put down here. It's a three at the back with Smith, Edwards, and McCann. Midfield is Freeman, Sibbald, Levitt, and Behic. The two in front of them are Harks and Middleton, and up front it is Stephen Fletcher. On the bench for United is Mulgrew, Graham, Niskanen, Doom, Eriksson, Makeson, Anaku, Watt, and McLeod. And for Rangers, they've got down a 4-2-3-1. John McLaughlin is in goal. It's Tavernier, Goldson, Davis, and Barisic at the back. And the two in front of them, it's Ryan Jack and Lundstrom. Then it's Sakala, Tillman, and Kent. And Morelos isn't starting. It's Antonio Cholak who's been given the job up front. And on the bench, it's McGregor, Kamara, Sands, Morelos, Wright, Roof, Arfield, King, and Devine.
Do you think that Morelos will be hard done by because he scored that goal against Celtic last week?
I don't know. I think Cholak for me is a better striker than Morelos at the moment all round. I think he gives it a little bit more. I still think Morelos, and I know that this has been talked about before, I still think Morelos looks a little bit overweight. Maybe that's been harsh, but I still don't think he looks quite as fit as he should be. I think it's a big boost for Rangers having Cholak back, and I mean, I would expect Rangers to win this game. United at home are a decent side just now. You know, they drew a Hearts and played well in that game, but I would expect Rangers to get 3 points out of this game, and they need to get them. You know, I've said again, for me the title's done, but they need to win this game to get the gap back to 9 points. It's a big game for them.
And a big game for Liam Fox and Dundee United because they need to get back to winning ways. Do you think that Glenn Megilkin will have a big part to play in the game? Because obviously when a player plays against ex-employers, they usually score the goal or the winning goal.
Yeah, I think so. I like Glenn Middleton. He's a good player. He's a really creative player. He's got a little bit of pace about him, a little bit of trickery, and he will be a threat for Rangers, for United, sorry. He's a really good player, but I think for me, and again, he is getting a bit older now, but I think Stephen Fletcher could have a big, big say on this game. If he gets in about that Rangers defence, he could cause him a lot of problems. If they get decent balls in the box, he could cause him a lot of problems, I think.
Yeah, no, exactly. And am I right in thinking Dundee could beat Rangers, what was it, last season in Thomas Court's first game?
Yeah, they did. I think they won, was it 2-1, I think they won?
2-1.
That was a really big win. So, yeah, it was a massive victory. But you've got to think that Rangers should win this game. As I say, I know it's at Tannadice. It is a difficult place to go at the moment, unless you're Celtic, who score 9 there. But it is a difficult place, so it could be a test for Rangers. This is a big game for them. If they don't get 3 points today, I think the title's pretty much done already, to be honest.
I'm just seeing Kevin Nisbet's goals there because he's been took off for Hibs. I think the job's been done, and I think Kevin Nisbet is away to pick up his champagne bottle after the game. McGeady is away as well. Yeah, so while we'll wait for this game to play out, just a few minutes there. What about the appointment of Marvin Barkley, manager to Queen of the South? When you taken that last night, I thought, but that's a bit kind of left field, but good luck to him.
Hello, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you, Glenn.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying about Marvin Barkley.
Yeah, I think you put in the group chat yesterday out of left field, and I have to agree. I didn't see that coming, to be honest. He's obviously very highly rated. I'm surprised that he's with Livingston. I think him and Martindale are a decent kind of partnership there. It's a big job for him. His first managerial job. Queen of the South are a decent club. Probably should be a bit better than they have been, so it's a big appointment for them. Maybe folk will think it's a risk appointing a kind of rookie manager, but you know, there's no doubt he could do a good job there. But it's a big appointment, and you were right when you said it was left field because I did not see that coming.
Maybe you'll find more Queen of the South games on Sky now because of Eddie Barber working on Sky, and obviously the they're going out together, but we'll park that one there and we'll go back to the football because that's what we're here to talk about. Don't forget, keep your comments coming in. We're here until 5 o'clock. Well, I am anyway. I don't know about Graham. Hopefully you're here till 5 o'clock, or else it'll be a long show. But it's just me and Graham. Okay, 2 minutes to go in this game. I think there'll be a bit of injury time, Graham. Still 3-1 tabs. And what will the Hibs fans be saying to themselves when they'll be back from the game, or if they're watching this performance?
I'm going to try and move rooms and see if that makes any difference. I think they'll be delighted to get 3 points, to be honest. There was a lot of Hibs fans who were very unhappy after Monday. Understandably, it's a derby game. So they'll be delighted going back at the road. They'll be thinking, can this back in form? Personally, he's not. But I just keep going back to this point that Motherwell are very, very short on confidence. So they're playing against a team that isn't great just now. But all you can do when you're Hibs is just win games. And I'll be interested to hear Lee Johnson's comments after the game because he won't be singling people out this time. Motherwell are back in the game, by the way. 3-2.
Yeah. Again, I'm a bit behind you guys, but yeah, 3-2, yeah. Game on then. A couple of minutes could go in that game. I think I've not saw any stoppage time to be arguing on, Graham, but I'm not seeing any stoppages here.
Yeah, I don't know how long's been added, so this could be interesting. Imagine if my Motherwell get back to 3-3.
Oof, yeah.
Could be interesting. Maybe Johnson won't be very happy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there then. I'm just seeing that the goal. It's a good goal, but it's a good goal. But again, what you were saying, Graham, for the Hibs goals, Murrow's bad defending. Hibs are bad defending for the Murrow goal.
Yeah, both defences have been quite poor, actually. Again, Hibs, I don't know how many times I've said this, but Ryan Porteous, for me, I just don't think Ryan Porteous is a great defender. I know there's been talk about maybe going to Udinese. I think I saw that last night, I think. Maybe a good move for him. But yeah, both defences have not been great. I think if you're Lee Johnson and Stephen Hamill, you'll be very critical of your defence in this game. But as I say, this could be a very important last few minutes for Hibs. They have to hold on for this one, I think.
By the way, Ross Tierney scored the second goal, and this 4 minutes could be added on in the game. Sometimes when defence is like that, Graham, it makes it a better game.
Yeah, and I think if you're Motherwell, you're just getting that ball in the box as much as you can in the last few minutes. Try and get a ricochet, try and get a deflection or anything. Just get the ball in the box.
Yeah, no. So we're into the first minute of the 4 at the moment, and it's still 3-2. But yeah, you're right, Graham. I mean, if Murrow gets the equaliser, then I know that I was saying to you a wee while ago that the supporters will be off Lee Johnson's back. They'll be back on his back. And obviously they might be back on his back because it's went to 3-2 as well. Oh. Kevin Van Veen had a brilliant chance to make it 3, sure. And good save by David Marshall. Still 3-2, 92 minutes gone, so 2 minutes to be added on the 4 as we wait for Graham to come back on the game. Don't forget, there was games yesterday, actually. There was St Mirren Hearts, Celtic Kilmarnock, Ross County against Livingston, and Celtic come out. Now, this is not Halloween, folks, right? But Grim has basically just come on twice. Oh no, he's not. He's back on once now, so that's good. I thought it was Halloween, and we get to see there's only two Grim Duffys instead of one Grim Duffy. But there you go. So James has kept us up to date, nicely in the chat. Good win for Motherwell. Good win for Hibs. So the final score: Motherwell 2, Hibs 3, and that is the final score, Graham. I don't know if Mr. Duffy can hear us. Can he? Oh no, he's away again. Okay. This is going to be a very interesting show, by the way. So 3-2 to the High Bees, and old Lee Johnson doubters will be off his back for another week. Then a good win for Hibs away from home, especially off of that derby defeat last week at Tynecastle. Definitely, James, they needs to pay the bills. You need to pay your recce, mate. So we're here until 5 o'clock. And guess what's in the end of the game, actually? There's a bit of a fight at the end of the game. I'm not actually sure why there's a bit of a fight at the end of the game, because obviously I was keeping an eye on the show, but if anybody can tell me if why there was a bit of fighting in the box, that would be very helpful. Ryan Porteous there as well, so I presume Ryan Porteous was involved in the fight. So good win for Hibs today, winning by 3-2, and good seeing the goals again by Nisbet. Nisbet scored a hat-trick today, so as I said to Graham early on, that won't do his Scotland future any. That will do his Scotland future good, because he will be, as I said, I heard a rumour a few weeks ago that was Skibby Clark might be looking for him for the next Scotland squad coming up. Right, okay. So good one for Hibs there. Moving on to Dundee United against Rangers. That is a 4 o'clock kickoff, and of course we'll be on air even till 5 o'clock, and we can keep you up to date with that one. And he's back for the 4th time. He is back and he is ready to go, I think. Graham, can you hear us now, Graham? Yeah?
I've got you. I can hear you.
Cool. Good stuff. Yeah. I just had a weird feeling that I had to do a 2-hour show listening to me. Wow, who can put up with me for 2 hours in Skigger? But happy that you're back, Graham. Graham's been away a long time, so you've actually missed the Dundee United Rangers game, and we're off air now. Now looking ahead to next Friday's show of the Locker Room. But no, good win for Hibs, Graham.
Yeah, absolutely massive win. They needed that. I was just kept going back. Kevin Nisbet, a hat-trick. He needed that. But yeah, it's a huge result for Lee Johnson. He needed that. But can they build on that now? That'll be the question. Can they build on that in the next game? They have to try and build on that now. I think they are 6 points behind Hearts now. Hearts could go 9 points clear on Friday. So it's a big, big win for Hibs. I think there's a few issues at Motherwell, though. That's a big disappointment for them. Being at home, another game they've lost. Huge result for Hibs, but massive disappointment for Motherwell.
Let's move on now to preview the Dundee United Rangers game tonight, 4 o'clock. Rangers would be hoping to bounce back that from last week's Glasgow derby against Celtic at Parkhead, albeit I would maybe feel that a defeat because of Kyogo's goal in the last minute of injury time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we spoke on Friday about the fact that I think Beale can take positives out the game, although they didn't win it. They were much better in the second half. Ryan Kent was a lot better, but they would want to win that game. And now the fact they are now 12 points behind, it's a huge gap. And I just don't see where Celtic are going to drop points. I know that they lost to St Mirren earlier in the season, but Celtic now look even stronger. And obviously they've added to that with the recent signings they've made. So I just don't see where they're going to drop points. But for this today, Rangers have got to get 3 points in this game. I do think they will, but I think it'll be a difficult game. I don't think it'll be as comfortable as what maybe think it is, but they need a huge win. And as I say, I think the fact that Cholak is back, who I personally think is better than Morelos from what I've seen this season especially, but it's a huge 3 points needed for Rangers, because if they can win this, cut the back to 9 points, there's still a lot of work to do, but they've got to win games. That's all they can do, win games. I said on Friday, I've not been overly convinced with Rangers so far. I know they're winning, but they've not been great. I don't think for me they've played 2 90-minute performances yet. Whether they get that today, I don't know, but all that matters is 3 points.
And as for Dundee United, Graham, you would maybe fancy them giving Rangers a bit of a challenge because it's at Tannadice as well, but you never know what can happen. You never know what can happen in football.
Yeah, I think, to be fair to Liam Fox, he's done a decent job since he took over. It's a difficult job to come into. The second to Jack Ross, obviously lost Thomas Courts, who, I mean, I always felt was an appointment that was a bit strange, but he did a very good job. And I think Liam Fox has done well. I think he's recruited well. Again, we've still got about, what date's this, the 8th? But 3 weeks left of the January transfer window to bring in a few more players. So they've done a lot better than I thought they would. I think he steadied the ship. And as I say, Stephen Fletcher, when I said earlier on, Stephen Fletcher, for me, could have a big say on this game. If he gets in and about that Rangers back four, they will know they'll be in a game. They need to get decent balls into him. If they can get decent crosses in from like Middleton or Behic, he can cause problems. So Fletcher will be a big threat today. And I'll be interested to see, and I say this a lot, but the first goal is so important. If United could get it, they've got something to cling on to. If Rangers get it, you would think they might have enough to go win the game. But that first goal is so crucial.
Half an hour to go in the game, 4 o'clock kickoff. Let's start looking back at the games yesterday, Graham. Obviously, there was a game in Friday night. I don't know if you saw any of the game. Dundee against Raith Rovers.
I didn't actually get to see any of the game. I saw the score, but I haven't actually seen any of the game. But what I'm interested in, though, is yesterday where Queen's Park won, was it 6-0 against Cove Rangers? And I actually put in the group chat that I'm in with the Hearts fans, I honestly feel, and I know that I asked Dave this on Friday, I honestly think Queen's Park can come up, and it would be magnificent if they can. I'd love to see them up. I said it the same last season with Arbroath. I want to see them come up, but I think Queen's Park could be a really good addition to the Premier League. It would be great, and they're doing it the right way. I know there's a lot of stuff about Gretna, there was only one man that was paying all the money in that. Queen's Park are doing it the right way, and I'd love to see them coming up. I really would.
Yeah, no, it would be good for Glasgow and Scottish football as well, but I'm sure that Queen's Park are getting a lot of money pumped into them at the moment.
Yeah, they are, but I think they are doing things the right way. I think Leanne Crichton's there. They've got a really good setup there. I think there's been a lot of talk about where they're going to play if they come up, but all they can do is win games and get up. That was a big result for them yesterday. Cove have not been great. We know they sacked Jim McIntyre. They've brought in Paul Hartley. Not a great first game, but
No.
Cove will be, they're going to play probably not as good a size as Queen's Park, because Queen's Park have been great this season. They are flying. And if they could come up, it would be one of the biggest stories in Scottish football, I think, even more than Gretna. This would be a huge story if they come up.
Yeah, no, definitely. So that was the scores yesterday. As you say, Graham, Queen's Park continued to win yesterday. Let's give you the rest of the scores in. Arbroath 1, Inverness 4, Ayr United 1, Hamilton 0, Cove Rangers, as you say, 6-0 at home against Queen's Park. That's a bit of a wake-up call for Paul Hartley in his day in office. Packet Thistle 2, Greenock Morton 1, and while if there's any first division Scottish League Division fans listening to this, we'll give you the score. Craig 1, Kilty Hearts 1, Falkirk 2, Menclose 1, FC Edinburgh 0, Glenfinnan 1, Peterhead 0, Airdrie 3, and Queen of the South 1. Alloa 2, of course. Marvin Barkley has got the job now of Queen of the South. So yeah, I mean, just come back to the game on Friday night. I wasn't really a great game. 1-each it finished. Of course, Dundee missed the opportunity to go top of the championship because they won that game. They went top, but they continued to lie second in the championship. And Raith Rovers, well, it's a good point. I think it's a good point for Raith Rovers as well because they're lying at the bottom end of the table. So that was the scores yesterday on the championship.
Can I just ask, did Dundee definitely score because Jonathan Sutherland didn't seem to see it?
No, I think like that was the best part of the whole entire 90 minutes. Right, at half time he said, "Yeah, it's a brilliant game, 0-0," and the one man that gets everywhere, James McFadden, says, "Wait a minute, is it not 1-0?" and stuff like that. So
the look on McFadden's face was hilarious. It's like, did I miss something? Did they not score something?
Yeah, no, exactly. Have you ever been to Starks Park, Graham? Because it feels as though it's a good big ground, but they would have to get more kind of like stands in, especially behind one of the goals and maybe to the left hand side of the main stand.
I have been to Starks Park. It's a nice big ground. Actually, one of the memories I've got for Starks Park, and it wasn't a favourite one. But it was about 1992. Hearts played a pre-season friendly there, and Craig Levine and Graham Hogg, who were on the same side, Craig Levine knocked Graham Hogg out, his own teammate, and I didn't know what happened at the time because I was too far away to see it. But I saw it back later on, and he knocks him spark out, and they both got a 14-game ban for that. It was one of the most unbelievable things I think I've seen. Two players in the same team fighting. I mean, we're down to 9 men. We lost the game 2-0, but that was a highlight of maybe not a great one, but it was a highlight of Starks Park.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. So that was 1-each. I think every week now we'll continue to keep an eye on the championship because it's getting hot. It's getting heated up, and as you know, Graham, it's coming to the business end of the leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before on the show again, the Championship's one of the best leagues in Scotland. It's so competitive. There's about 6 or 7 teams could potentially still win this league. So yeah, it's great. And I think if you watch the games on a Friday night, some of the times the standard isn't great. Some of the times it's really good. So it is one of these leagues that's up and down, but it's a very competitive league. And I said again numerous times as well, whoever goes down for the Premier League is going to find it very, very hard to get back up again because it is so competitive.
Mm. Okay, so well, just leave that one there then, and we'll come back to the championship next weekend as well. I'm hoping to maybe get some going from Packet Thistle in the next couple of weeks because I'm interested to see what's going on at Firhill at the moment, Graham, because it's a bit unusual for the fans to be in different camps there for how I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but hopefully in a few weeks we'll get some going from Firhill.
Yeah, I know they call it Firhill for thrills, but it's taken a bit too far recently. You know, as you said, the fans are very much against the board regime and stuff, so it'll be good to actually get somebody on. And I'm sure it was a couple of weeks ago I heard that most of the board are actually away. There was like only one person left from previous, so I would love to hear what's actually going on there and get some proper insight into that because it does seem a bit of a farce just now.
I know there's some rumours about where Ryan Poiters is going. He might be going to Fahill. Fahill for fights, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so let's start our roundup of yesterday's action. Celtic 2, Kilmarnock 0, and I was at the game, Graham, and first half it was very poor from a Celtic point of view. Kilmarnock really done the job professionally. Obviously you couldn't keep up that for 90 minutes. And I wrote down here it could have been 7 easy in the second half for Celtic.
Yeah, again, I watched the highlights this morning, and I mean, Celtic, I should expect, dominated the game, but you've got to say Kilmarnock deserve a lot of credit. I know that a lot of Celtic fans have been very negative about Kilmarnock, but you know, they set up very well. They set up to be very difficult to break down, and they were. And you know, I thought the first goal, it's a good move. I think it's who scores the goal in the end? Is it Jota? I think he tries to claim
Jota,
it.
yeah. Jota.
Yeah, I think him and Kyogo both try to claim it. But yeah, once they get the first goal, you're thinking it'll be 5 or 6. As I said on Friday, I thought it would be. And then second half again, Kilmarnock were very resilient, very difficult to break down. And once they get the second goal, Celtic, I thought they might have scored a few more. And I think Postecoglou said that as well. They could have scored more. But, you know, it's job done. 2-0. It doesn't matter how you get it. It's just about winning the game. And they did that. 12 points clear. But Celtic weren't at their best yesterday. There's been a few games this season they've not been at their clinical best, but they've still got far too much quality. They've just still got far too much off the bench to bring on. So it's a massive win for them. But I think Kilmarnock, they can take positives for that game. Again, any team that goes to Celtic Park, you're not going to be judged on that. It's a difficult place to go. We all know that. So if you're Derek McInnes, you'll be delighted that I'm not going to say it's a free hit, but they'll be delighted to get out of that with a 2-0 defeat. And they played the way I expect them to play. They were very, very defensive, very hard to break down, very stuffy. And they gave Celtic a bit of a test.
And that showed as well, but Kilmarnock's not won at Celtic Park for 10 years, and obviously the 10-year record goes on yesterday after the game yesterday. But yeah, I mean, I thought Kilmarnock were, set up, as we expected, kind of like 10 men behind the ball. Celtic had, took a bit of time for them to get going. George scored the first goal right before half-time, and I suppose, Graham, that if you were playing poorly and you wanted to score a goal right on half-time, that's when you want a goal to be scored on 41 minutes, because that gives the fans and the team a bit of a lift to come out in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. I thought, Kilmarnock did set up very well. They were very hard to break down. There was a couple of chances. I think there was one in the first half where I think there was an offside against Jota, and it was offside. But it was a decent move from Celtic, and they didn't really get in behind too many times yesterday. And you have to give credit to Kilmarnock for that. You spoke about a 10-year record at Celtic Park. I think a lot of teams have got a poor record at Celtic Park and Ibrox because they are such difficult places to go. It's a thing that annoys me about Hearts. I'd like to see our records in Glasgow being a lot better. I've said that before. So, yeah, I mean, I think Kilmarnock, they went there yesterday with a game plan. I know, having seen the highlights back, there was a potential claim for a penalty in the first half. I don't think it was a penalty. The referee got that right. So, yeah, I think Kilmarnock did okay yesterday. But, again, like many teams have said already, I think they need to strengthen in January because what they've got up front for me, Kilmarnock, is not enough. They really miss Lafferty. Ollie Shaw, for me, is a championship striker at best. Daniel Armstrong's been decent, but they have to bring in more reinforcements in January. But results at Celtic Park are not going to define their season. But I do think, and I'll get on to Ross Kent again later, but I do think Kilmarnock are going to be in that relegation threatened position because they just don't have enough quality going forward.
Yeah, no, exactly. And obviously, I don't know what James Forrest was playing at in the second half because he should have a hat trick, but instead of storing a hat trick, he wanted the ball to come off the post about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, again, do you know what? I don't know if yourself and James, if you're still watching, might know this more than I do, but is there still some Celtic fans that are still not overly convinced by James Forrest? I mean, he has scored like over 100 goals for Celtic, and there's still, for me, some Celtic fans that are never quite convinced by him, which I find baffling, to be honest.
Yeah, no, you're right. Even though he's been there for years, Graham, and you meet one or two random Celtic fans that didn't like Forrest, and believe it or not, Graham, right? I knew somebody that didn't like Scott Brown, and he was a Celtic fan, and I found that hard to believe. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people still doesn't like Forrest. I mean, one of my good pals, every time he scores a winning goal for Celtic, he says, if the game was, if Celtic won 3-0, he would say, yeah, that was a good 2-0 win for Celtic, because he wouldn't recognise Forrest to score the third goal, and I'm like,
honestly, don't you just love the fickleness of football fans? It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, go to get off his back. Like, it's one of these situations where Celtic are going to be in the European final. What I don't, by the way, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, and Forrest is going to score the winning goal, then people will just kind of like say, good win for Celtic, but and they won't recognise Forrest get scored on the winning goal. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe that. Like, there's a lot of people out there that still have their doubts about Forrest as well, and I don't know why, because he's been a good servant to Celtic, and I think this is it's coming up first as testimonial. Yeah, he's been there for 10 seasons, but yeah, don't ask me why that fans didn't like Forrest, but I don't know, because he's scored a lot of crucial goals for Celtic as well,
I mean, to score, over 100 goals for Celtic and still not be rated, I just find that mental. I really do. But as I say, football fans are fickle. There are some players that you just think, I'm not a massive fan of his, but I just think Forrest's done a great job for Celtic. He always gives his all for the shirt. Yes, he doesn't maybe play as well in a few games, but what winger does? And the fact that he's a winger and he's scored 100 goals, I think is fantastic. And it's not just that, he does well for Scotland as well. I know maybe a lot of Scotland fans won't agree, but I think he does a good job for Scotland and Celtic. And when he eventually does leave Celtic, he'll be missed. I just find it crazy that still some Celtic fans are not massive fans of Forrest.
Yeah, no. Sometimes that's hard to believe, and as I say, that one person that I met last year, I think it was now, Scott Brown, and I had to like do a double take and ask ask him what, and Scott Brown, and I'm like, all right, okay, yeah. Even though he was Celtic's greatest captain, maybe that's a conversation for another day. But I think he's the greatest leaguer Celtic's had in managed him. Anyway, people might argue with Billy McNeil and all the rest of it as well. But I think it really depends on the generations as well, Graham. But I mean, you think people doesn't like Robin Nielsen, but there you go. I mean, but you never know. Some Celtic fans wouldn't like Henry Larsson, but maybe touched a nerve there, Graham, as well. So no, I mean, and the second goal, as you saw in the Kerry, Kyogo shook his head as if to say, that wasn't my goal. That was an own goal from Taylor.
Yeah, that was never his goal in a million years. I mean, that's what strikers do, though. They claim goals that aren't theirs, and you can clearly see that's not his goal. But it's good movement, actually. He gets across the defender. It does come off Ash Taylor. It's an own goal by an absolute mile. But, again, I think we spoke on Friday about the fact that Kyogo maybe hasn't been at his best, even though he has still managed to score goals. His movement was better yesterday. I did think he looked a lot better yesterday, but it's a big win for Celtic. 3 points at home, you'd expect that. 2 goals, probably could have scored more, but it's a massive lift. And obviously, I think Postecoglou again said yesterday, it's very rare that you play the same team 2 weeks running, but they've got Kilmarnock again next week in the Cup. I don't think yesterday's game will have any bearing on that. I still think Celtic will be far, far too strong for Kilmarnock on that big pitch at Hampden. But it'll be a interesting game, because I think Kilmarnock will do exactly the same thing again. I think they'll sit back. I think they'll try and make it difficult for Celtic. If Celtic get an early goal, I think they'll win the game comfortably. But the longer St Mirren's, longer Kilmarnock sit in and try and stifle that, it could be interesting. But I would expect Celtic to win that next week.
And Maeda, I don't know if you saw this on the highlights as well. He ran for his own half, Graham, and he ran the full length for the park, and he did everything but put the ball in the net with some run.
Yeah, I think again, Maeda's one of these ones that a lot of Celtic fans are still not convinced by. Again, he gives his all for the shirt. He's quick, he's direct. Maybe probably could add more goals to his game, but I'm sure that'll come. You know, he's a very good player, and you have to say Postecoglou does get the best out of these players. You know, he does that Asian market very, very well, and obviously signed another one recently. So, you know, they're getting a decent contingent there. I'm just glad that they've not taken the boy that Hearts are getting in a couple of days. Oda, he looks a very good player as well. Hopefully he has the same effect as the Japanese boys at Celtic. But yeah, I think Maeda's done okay for Celtic.
Yeah, and so what do you think, Graham? Do you think Giakoumakis is away? He came on as a sub yesterday, and he had a shot a goal, but never got on the goal sheet. Do you think he's away?
Possibly, yeah. Where he goes will be interesting. How much Celtic get from him will be interesting. I think, again, he's done well for Celtic when he's been called upon. He's scored goals, crucial goals as well. So I think he'll be a big miss. Will Celtic replace him in January? I don't know. I think, you know, these kind of players are difficult to come by because he is a big laddie, and Celtic don't tend to play that way with a big striker up front. They like to play with pace, and they like to play with tempo, and they like to play with a quick striker like a Maeda, like a Kyogo. So it'll be interesting if he does go. I would be interested to see how much they get for him. I mean, you'll know better than me, but how much do you think Giakoumakis is worth?
Well, to be honest with you, Glenn, when the chat was coming out about him leaving, that came a bit left field because I thought he was happy and I thought he was settled at Celtic, but I would say it's very difficult to put on a price tag on him at the moment. Going by his goals and maybe his kind of like what rate as well, I would go towards maybe 9 million. Maybe a lot of people will disagree with me in the chat, but that's how I feel about it at the moment. But I hope he stays, not only for Celtic but for Scottish football, because he brings something different. His hold-up play is good as well, Grim. And that's the difference between him and Edouard, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, he's a different type of striker. He has a physical presence, and, you know, at times that's not a bad thing to have. If things aren't working out, you know that you can get the ball wide and get the ball in the box, and he's going to be on the end of that, rather than a Kyogo or Maeda who don't have that height. So, yeah, I think he would be a big miss. And when the news came out that he was potentially leaving, I was surprised, because I thought he's done well for Celtic in the short time he's been here. I mean, if you were to get 9 million for him and potentially, 18 or so million for Juranovic, that's a lot of money Celtic are going to get for these two players that could probably go back into that squad. And again, it's another reason why nobody else outside of Celtic Rangers can win the league, because Celtic can afford to sell these players for big money and, you know, sign players for even bigger money. So that is another reason why people other than Celtic Rangers won't win this league.
One man who Celtic was missing yesterday, and to be honest with you, Glenn, I still can't believe we're talking about Greg Taylor being a potential player of the year for Celtic, because last season, if you ask any Celtic fan, they were getting bothered about Greg Taylor leaving. Now, again, it's Postecoglou has worked his magic, because Taylor's some player compared to last season or the season before. He was missing yesterday, but Postecoglou said Friday he's out for a few weeks, so I presume that he'll be back for maybe this Midland game a week on Wednesday, or even down United in a few weeks' time. But do you think he was missing yesterday? Do you think Greg Taylor was a kind of man that Celtic needed yesterday?
I don't think so, but there's no doubt that he's been probably one of Celtic's best players this season. And you're right, you know, maybe a season ago, a lot of Celtic fans would have had him on the next plane out of there. He's been fantastic for Celtic, and when he's come in, he's played well for Scotland as well. And I think he's one of these guys that he's got a lot of energy. He gets up and down the left-hand side. He actually looks like he can play midfield as well. He's had a new lease of life at Celtic, no doubt about that. But I don't think he was missed yesterday. I think Celtic still got the job done without him. But there's no doubt he has had a complete transformation under Postecoglou. It's been fantastic. I know that our colleague Reagan has not been massively fan of Greg Taylor, but he's changed his opinion as well. So it just shows that Greg Taylor's been fantastic, as had Anthony Ralston as well. Again, these players have got new life under Postecoglou. A lot of these players might have been shipped out before, but they are huge parts of this squad now. I know that James Elliott said that Giakoumakis has been linked with Urawa Reds in the J-League. So, that could be a big move for him.
Remember, that was the man Reagan said that David Martindale will be out of a job soon. Remember that time, Graham?
Yeah, we don't bring that up too much, though, do we?
No, just once every show. So that was a Celtic win. And before we move on, Graham, and I know you might be a bit annoyed me speaking about this because of a Hearts point of view as well, but you can actually see the strength and depth now of the Celtic squad when one drops in, one comes in, and they still do the same job.
Yeah, this is what I said about the Celtic Rangers game. You look at the quality that Celtic bring off the bench compared to Rangers. Celtic are bringing guys off the bench like Giakoumakis, like Jota, like Aaron Moy. Rangers bringing on, no disrespect, but James Sands and guys like that. That's a complete night and day. So that Celtic squad just gets bigger. I mean, if I'm an opposition player and I'm looking at that Celtic bench, I'm thinking, oh no, we're in trouble here. Because you just know that they're going to score goals and they're going to create chances. And yeah, that Celtic bench is very, very strong. And that's a worry for me. Toby Civic had said I think it was yesterday, that he thinks that Hearts could maybe challenge for second place. I would love to see that happen, but I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon because we don't have the squad depth. Rangers squad, for me, that bench is not great, but Celtic squad is just so strong, and it will get stronger. And I wouldn't be surprised if they sign another couple of players in January and just get even stronger. And that is, again, I keep saying this, that is why no other team other than Celtic and Rangers will win this league, because they just don't have enough squad depth.
We're getting ready to watch Dundee United against Rangers. That's the 4:00 kickoff. Let's move on now. Of course, Celtic meets Kilmarnock Saturday night on at 5:30. That game on a Saturday night. And fun enough, because I'm mentioning that, Graham, we've got a show next week. Next Saturday night and next Sunday for the League Cup semi-final. So busy weekend for the locker room.
Yeah, we're a very busy show. Hopefully have a few guests on as well. That'll be great. I know that you're going to the Celtic game, so that could be a good atmosphere there. But yeah, we're getting all these special shows, start of a new year. Hopefully get some more new shows coming on. And yeah, I think next week, I'll be honest, I'm expecting a Celtic Rangers final. I mean, Aberdeen, I'm not sure against Rangers, but I just have a feeling it'll be a Celtic Rangers final.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you as well. But you never know what could happen in football. But Aberdeen's been a bit poor of late, even though they got one yesterday. We'll speak about that in a minute. But I'm just thinking, well, that, but yeah, it's a one-off game. Anything could happen on that one. Before the teams come out at Taraji, Dundee United again, Rangers are actually in the tunnel as we speak. Let's look back on another game yesterday. Graham will have an opinion on this one, I'm sure. St Mirren won, Hearts won, and I only saw the highlights, Graham, but I look as though it was a good game, a very kind of end-to-end game as well.
Yeah, first half, St Mirren were the far better side. We really didn't turn up, and Robbie Nielsen spoke about that. We didn't play well first half. Again, we mentioned them on the show Friday. I actually put in one of the group chats that I'm in before the game yesterday. Robert Snodgrass has been a great signing, and I did say that I've very rarely seen him give the ball away. That was probably one of his poorest games yesterday. He gave the ball away a lot yesterday, but he gets the goal. It was a cross, but he gets the goal. The second half were a lot better. But Stephen Robertson said after the game yesterday he thought St Mirren should have won the game. And I do agree. First half, I thought they were a lot better than us. They were quicker at every ball. They looked a lot better than us all over the pitch. But Robbie got them in at half-time, and we played a lot better second half. And it's something that I've actually said as well, that I don't think I've seen Hearts play two good halves in a game yet. First half we play well, second half we don't play well, or the first half we don't play, or the first half we don't play well, second half we do play well. We've not played two good games yet. Hopefully that'll change, but that was a big point yesterday. I would have taken a point before the game, and I'd definitely take it after the game, because St Mirren is not an easy place to go. Celtic have lost there, Rangers dropped points there. So I'm happy with the point, and we play St Mirren on Friday night. So I hope, we've got 2 home games to come now. We've got St Mirren on Friday and then a massive game against Aberdeen at home. If we can pick up 6 points out of that, I think we're in a very, very strong position for third place. But I have to give credit to St Mirren, because I thought for large spells in that game yesterday, they were very, very good.
Let's speak about St Mirren's goal. Ryan Spillane after 4 minutes. Okay, it took a wicked deflection off of Flynn. But you would have to say it was a brilliant strike.
It was a good finish, but it does come off Toby Civic. You know, there's no chance that Xander Clark can save that. You can't see it. It's a decent hit, but if that doesn't come off Toby Civic, it doesn't go in. But yeah, throughout the first half, I thought St Mirren were quicker to every ball. They looked a bit more up for it. Disappointing for me, because I thought after the game on Monday, I thought Hearts would have been really bouncing for this, but they just didn't look in the game at all. You know, too many players were giving poor passes away. Shanklin couldn't get into the game, but you've got to give credit to St Mirren. St Mirren pressed really well. Alec Gogic, who is a bit of an enforcer in there, he really caused us a lot of problems in that midfield. But second half, Robbie did change it, and they looked a lot better second half. We could have won the game. You know, Lawrence Shanklin has a great chance in the second half. Yeah. A free header, he should do better, and he'll be disappointed he's not scored. But overall, a point in Paisley is not a bad result. But these 2 home games now are going to be huge, especially that Aberdeen game. If we can pick up 6 points, I'll be delighted with that.
And I can't believe that Robert Snodgrass's first goal for Hearts, Graham. That's hard to believe.
And he didn't even mean it was a cross. He didn't even mean it. But to be honest, it was a great delivery, actually. And his set pieces and his deliveries from wide areas are fantastic. They really are. I actually put in the group chat earlier on, if anyone's got any questions about the game yesterday, give me a shout and I'll try and ask them. Now, we did have a few questions here. So Elsa D said, yeah, ask if the St Mirren boy was reported to the police for an assault on Grant. Yeah, I mean, that was, I don't know what Marcus Fraser's doing there. It was a ridiculous challenge. I didn't see it until yesterday. It was a very poor challenge. I don't know what he's trying to do. He jumps in. It's almost like a karate kick. And yeah, if you do that on the street...
I mean, he doesn't have to jump in, Graham.
No, if you do that on the street, you get lifted. I mean, it was a terrible challenge. I don't know what he's trying to do with that. And I think if you're Stephen Robertson, you're having words with him, because that really could be a longer ban than just a couple of games. It's a very poor challenge. It could have caused serious injury to George Grant, who's on the ground. Very, very bad injury. Another question is, what's our backup plan if Snodgrass is injured or off form like yesterday? Does our back four suit us better now? I think so. Yeah, Snodgrass wasn't great yesterday. One of his poorest games. But for me, I think you can't drop Snodgrass because he's so good. I think for me, if we can sign Oda, the Japanese ball we're getting, and potentially Kuyo, who's going to come in as well, I think they could be a number 10 for me. So I think there's options there for Hearts. And again, Barry Mackay can drop into that number 10 position. We've got a lot of good players in there. But Snodgrass, for me, yesterday did dip a little bit. Understandably, it's 35. You can't play well every game, but he wasn't great yesterday. I prefer a back four for Hearts. I've never been a fan of this back three that we play. And I think the reason he plays the back three is to try and get players into the positions. But for me, a back four, I prefer more. So if we got a back four, I'm delighted with that. And again, last question for Steve Barrett here, who said, I would find it interesting to hear a discussion about what yesterday's game tells us about what we need to do, selection and shape for Friday. Well, I'll say this now. I'm going to a back four. I'm going 4-2-3-1. But we've got good options now. And I know that there's potential for Callum Patterson to come back to Hearts. See if we get Patterson, I'd be delighted with that. Again, I put in the group chat earlier that I'm not a massive fan of players coming back to a club for the second time because it doesn't work out a lot of the time. But I think Callum Patterson is a very good player and he could fit into that system very well. I'm playing 4-2-3-1 against St Mirren next week at home. We've got players to come back in. Stephen Kingsley has been concussed for about 5 weeks. honestly, Stephen Kings is a great player for me. Hope he's back on Friday. But we've got a very good squad just now. It's obviously not as strong as Celtic and Rangers, but for me, we've got the third biggest squad and the third best squad outside of those two. So we've got options there. But yesterday wasn't a good performance. And I did hear Robbie after the game be very honest and say that first half we made a lot of passes for passes' sake, and he's right. Second half was a lot better. We got the ball forward a bit more, played in the right areas. Barry Mackay got more on the ball. Again, Barry Mackay's such a good player, but he drops off a little bit too much for me. And again, the biggest frustration for me yesterday was Lawrence Shanklin didn't get a lot of chances yesterday. The one big chance he did get, he should score. But I'm not going to be overly disappointed with a draw in Paisley because, as you know yourself, Celtic got beat there. Rangers dropped points there. They're on a good run. And I think Stephen Robertson's done a good job there. Dave spoke about this on Friday. He's done a very good job at St Mirren. And I think St Mirren will be a top 6 club this season, which would be fantastic for them.
2 minutes gone. Dundee United now, Rangers now. Going back to your point, Graham, that one of the contributors made about can we have, am I right? Did you say can we afford to drop Robert Snodgrass? And even though he scored the first goal yesterday, I don't think you can afford to drop him, Graham, because he brings something different to the Hearts team as well as movement, kind of like off the ball and more like his experience as well. So I don't think you can afford Robert Snodgrass to be dropped out of the team. Okay, yes, I could agree to a certain extent. He's getting older and all that, but you know, all you need is one special moment in the game and whatever, a special pass, you know, whatever. So you can't afford to drop him out of the team.
No, 100%. I mean, it wasn't one of his better games yesterday. I think he knows that himself, but he just brings us so much quality on the ball. He did give the ball away a few times yesterday, don't get me wrong, but his quality of leadership on the ball, again, I was watching him closely in the highlights that I saw, and again, he's pointing at folk, telling folk where to go. He just brings that experience to Hearts that we've lacked for quite a while, actually. And if you've got young guys in that team, I mean, what more can you ask to look up to a guy like Robert Snodgrass? The experience that he brings is fantastic. You don't have Craig Gordon now as a leader. And, you know, we need somebody with that experience. And I think I am probably surprised that he's played most of the games this season. I thought he might have maybe dropped out for a few games. But you're right. For me, you can't afford not to have him in that team because he just brings so much to the team. And that left foot that he's got, I mean, the quality he's got on that ball is incredible. And as I say, the goal, it is a cross. But the keeper gets blindsided. I don't think he knows what's happening there. It's a great ball in. And it's, you know, it is meant for Shanklin, but it's a great ball in. And it's, I don't think I could blame the goalkeeper for that. You know, the ball bounces in front of him. It's just that delivery for Snodgrass is so good. And he brings that to us. And if he signs a new contract, I'll be delighted with that. And most Hearts fans I spoke to are hoping that he does sign a new contract because he's been so important for us this season. And I don't think we've dropped many points when he started. I haven't actually seen the stats, but I don't think we've lost many games when he started.
Yeah, that's what I mean about. I'm not comparing him to Scott Brown or you know whatever. And Scott Brown was getting on in later years as well, but just that experience in the team that you know shouting at people to move into the right positions as well. It doesn't have to have a kind of like outstanding game every week in, week out. Maybe from a Hearts point of view, you would say, yeah, but I mean, just for him to be on the park and kind of like telling people what to do, go for the ball and all that. You know, sometimes that makes a difference. And okay, when you're watching the game on the TV or when you're at the game, you maybe can see it, but on the park, I bet you it makes a hell of a big difference.
Oh, 100%. You can see that, the experience he brings, that leadership quality. And again, you know that even if he's not having a greatest of games, he can still pop up with something. Because I actually said at halftime yesterday, I listened on the Hearts TV yesterday, and I actually thought at one point, I wonder if Snodgrass might get taken off. I'm glad he didn't now, because if he does, we don't get that goal. So, yeah, he just brings such a leadership to that team and such a quality to that team. And that, honestly, that left foot, I know years and years ago, I don't know if it was Alec Ferguson talked about Charlie Adam, and said that left foot is worth about £10 million. I think the same for Robert Snodgrass. Maybe £20 million for his left boot. He's such a quality player. When he signed initially, I wasn't sure about him because I didn't think he would play a lot of games. But honestly, he's been a fantastic signer for me. One of the signers of the season, 100%.
And as for St Mirren yesterday, very disappointing, and obviously at home to drop 2 points, but always another red card as well, as you touched upon Marcus Fraser red card, and if the ref saw that in real time without VR, they were going to have to go over to the monitor because that was a stupid tackle. I mean, it was nowhere to be seen, and it just appeared from the sky, basically. It was what was going through his head at the time, Graham?
I would honestly love to know what he was doing. I really don't know what he was doing. I mean, to jump over your own player and then to do that, I mean, it is ridiculous. And again, listening to Hearts TV, I didn't know what happened at the time. And again, it's the length of time it took. I don't know why that took so long. You don't need to take 3 or 4 looks at that. You only need 1 or 2 to see that's a card. And nobody seemed to know what's happening in the stadium. It's another, I don't know how many times to talk about this, but it just takes far too long. These things should not take that long. And again, if Stephen Robertson's looking at that, he's got to punish his player for that because there's no need for that.
But Graham, when you see it again, like he's jumping over his own player, he could have injured his own player as well.
Yeah, he could have done. I don't know what he's thinking about. I mean, whether it's a rush of blood to the head, and as well, it was so late on as well. It was like the last 2 minutes. What's the need for that? Their discipline seems to be a little bit lacking just now. They'll be missing for a few games anyway, and rightly so, because it was a ridiculous challenge to make. There was no need, absolutely no need.
Do you think it's time for, I know I mentioned it before we come on there, but do you think it's a time for Stephen Robertson to have a wee quiet word with his players? Because that's the last 3 games they've got players sent off.
Yeah, I mean, they lost Errahan after like 7 minutes the other day. That's not what you want to be pretty much spending the whole game when 10 men is not great. And yesterday again, because it's so late in the game, why are you doing that? I mean, if Hearts had gone on and won the game because of that, I think Robertson would be absolutely furious. So yeah, maybe he needs to have a wee quiet word and say, do you know what, we need to cut out this lack of discipline because it's going to cost us eventually. And they've had a good season, St Mirren, but they can't afford to keep going down to 10 men.
Just watching this game, Graham, 9 minutes gone, 0-0, Dundee United and Rangers. Not a lot to write home about. Kent had a chance a minute ago, but it was going, one of these shots when the ball leaves his foot, it goes higher and higher and higher. So, still 0-0 in the game. Because about 10 minutes gone of the game there. So, so would you say it was a decent point for Hearts going away from home?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, before the game, I'd have taken a point. The way that first half was going, I'd definitely taken a point. But I'm actually disappointed we didn't win the game because that chance for Shankland, a guy in his form and a free header, I think he should do better. And he knows that as well. You can see his reaction. He knows he should do better. But a point away from home, we're now 6 games unbeaten. I'm delighted with that. I said on Friday, I'm delighted where Hearts are just now. 3rd in the league, 3 ahead Aberdeen, 2 home games to come. We could potentially stretch our lead. Aberdeen play in the Cup on Sunday. We could potentially stretch our lead. So I think we are looking very, very good. And I know we are going to add more players in this window. So we are looking very, very strong. And a point away in Paisley, I'm not disappointed about the way the game was going.
You mentioned about Aberdeen. Let's go on to speak about the Dandy Dons. They beat St Johnstone 2-0 at home yesterday. And I know a lot of people will say, well, it's only St Johnstone, but as I've always said in the show, Graham, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You still got to get the job done. And they won yesterday at home.
Yeah, and I thought, again, watching the highlights, it was a bit like the Ross County game. Aberdeen dominated, had plenty of chances, couldn't score. And you thought it's one of these games again. When Duke gets that offside goal for the free kick, it's a good free kick, actually. And you think, offside, it's not going to be their day. But again, second half, they dominated again. And it's no surprise that Duke gets the 2 goals. But 11 goals to the season for Duke. And for me, he's been one of Aberdeen's best players this season. He looks a real handful. He's quick, he's powerful, he's got everything you want for a striker, and he looks very impressive. And I think it's a big win for Aberdeen. They needed to get that. They were under a lot of pressure, maybe harshly so, but they needed that win, and they dominated the game. They deserved to win. For St Johnstone, I don't think they'll offer a lot going forward for me. They've done okay this season so far. A lot of positives to take, but yesterday they weren't great. I think they looked like they were going to try and set up for a 0-0 draw. But Aberdeen deserved to win the game. It's a huge 3 points, massive 3 points. And maybe Aberdeen fans will maybe get off Jim Goodwin's back now. But again, maybe not, because they've got that big game next week in the Cup. If they lose that, they might be under pressure again.
Yeah, no, I suppose that Jim Goodwin's in the same boat as Lee Johnson, because both had to win. They did win. Hibs won today, and but as you say, the kind of like pressure goes on to the next week's game against Rangers in the League Cup, and that's not going to be easy, that game.
No, it won't be. And I think they might still have what happened at Pittodrie a few weeks ago in their heads as well. The fact that they lost that game to Rangers very, very late on. They want to make up for that. I think you'll have a really good Aberdeen support at Hampden next week. And I know that Robbie is looking forward to this. Robbie Henrat is looking forward to the game. And he's a bit more positive about the game. I can see why, because the last 2 games they have been better. But that's such a massive game. I personally think Aberdeen should win more trophies than they are. They're a big, big club. I say that about Hearts as well. We should win more trophies. They've got a chance next week. You know, Rangers in a semi-final, it's a big, big opportunity for them. But again, I just think if they lose that game, Aberdeen fans will get back on Goodwin's back again. That's how fans are. They are very fickle. I know that myself. I'm one myself. But they can go into that with confidence now. And they've got, for me, one of the best players in the league just now in Duke. He's been so important. He can cause that Rangers defence problems next week. If Aberdeen win that and get to a final, what a huge boost that would be.
Yeah, of course. Duke scored a double yesterday. Duke at the double. That would be a good headline, wouldn't it? Duke at the double, 78 minutes and 84 minutes. Graham, is it only a matter of time where other clubs start sniffing about Duke now?
100%. I heard an interesting conversation on the radio last night where they were asked, could Duke get in that Hearts team? I think he'd be a very good squad player. Whether he gets in it now, I don't know, but he's been excellent. And yeah, I don't doubt there'll be a lot of folk after Duke. He's been very impressive. 11 goals this season, and he's not played every game. I think he's been excellent. He looks Aberdeen's most important player for me. As I say, that pace and power he's got, he can hold people off. He's direct. He's scoring goals. If they lose him, if he gets injured, they might struggle because they're not getting goals from Majowski. He's gone off the boil. Ramirez, again, he started last week, didn't really play that well, so they need Duke. They're relying on him a lot. But Aberdeen at the moment, they're only 3 points behind Hearts. I think they've had a decent season. I don't understand I can understand at times why Jim Goodwin gets a bit of stick. The games against Celtic and Rangers were not great, but they should get off his back now. 2 decent performances the last couple of games. They should have beat Ross County, didn't take the chances. They have won yesterday, so they're on a decent run just now. They are sitting 4th, but if they can win a trophy, what a boost that would be for Aberdeen.
And obviously, Majowski, you mentioned him earlier on, Graham. He had a chance, but he had a goal ruled out offside. VR called it out.
Yeah, and I think he probably was just offside, but he looks a bit off form just now, Majowski. I don't know what it is with him. He just looks a little bit off the boil. They need to get him back on side because he is, again, like Duke, he's a massive player for them. He's a goal scorer, but he's just lacking that little bit of composure just now in front of goal, which is just as well they got Duke because he's the one that looks the main threat just now. But again, I do like Majowski. He scored a lot of goals this season, but he needs to get back on form. Again, maybe next week might be the confidence boost he needs. A couple of goals in a semi-final against Rangers could be a huge boost.
Aberdeen, as we say, a bit like Celtic yesterday, had a lot of chances, but only won 2-0, Graham, at home. But if you say to any Aberdeen fan before the game, they would maybe have took the 3 points. The one's more important. But as for St Johnstone, that's 4 defeats now back-to-back from Callum Davidson. It just seems to be a kind of like stop-start season for the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're a bit up and down. They play well in spells. They don't play well in some spells, but I think they've done okay. But yesterday were disappointing. The highlights that I saw, I can't think of a single chance they had on target. So that was disappointing for Callum Davidson. I heard him after the game and he was quite happy with the performance. If I'm a St Johnstone fan, I don't agree with that. I don't think they offered anywhere near enough going forward for me. When you've got guys like Stevie May and Nicky Clark in there, they need to do a bit better. But, you know what? A defeat at Pittodrie, it's not the end of the world, but they need to do better than that for me. I thought they were very poor. But Aberdeen maybe made them look poor. You know, Aberdeen were very good yesterday in spells in that game. Again, it's not going to define their season, St Johnstone going to Pittodrie and getting beat. But I did expect better from them yesterday.
We haven't forgot about Dundee United and Rangers. 17 minutes gone, and there's not a lot happening in the game apart from Kent's early chance and Fletcher get a chance there for United, but Sky go over the bar. Still 17 minutes gone of the game now. I'll tell you what I like about Aberdeen. Get Graham, they're a good football team, good football in Skiggan, but it was a bit of a full house yesterday. That's what I like to see about Scottish football.
Yeah, I mean, Pittodrie, Tynecastle, Easter Road, they can get really big attendances. Aberdeen are a big club. There's no debate in that. They're a massive club. And Aberdeen fans should get behind their team. And I could understand they were getting a bit frustrated yesterday because they hadn't scored. And I just wonder if that game had finished 0-0 yesterday, if that would have still been the case. But that was a huge 3 points. And yeah, it's a great crowd. Aberdeen take a lot of good support away from home as well as at home. So that's a really good performance from yesterday, a really good win, and yeah, a great crowd. They are a very good support, Aberdeen, and they are, for me, a little bit starved of success at times. Like a lot of teams, Aberdeen should be challenging for a lot more than they are. They've got the squad, they've got the fan base. I think they've got the manager now. I do like Jim Goodwin, so they need to build on that now. And next week's going to be huge for them. That semi-final against Rangers is going to be absolutely massive for them. If they win that and get to a final, what a lift that would give.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I mean, we'll obviously speak about the games next week in the show, but give a quick one. Do you think Aberdeen would be up for? Well, we're always up for the game against Rangers, as you saw the last time, but Rangers won the game. Aberdeen were disappointed, but Aberdeen had lots of good spells in that game, Glenn, but just couldn't put it to bed. And I mean, why? I don't know for the life of me why they took Duke off.
Yeah, I mean, that game against Rangers, I thought they were a lot better. But I think I said to Dave on Friday as well that the substitutions that they made in that game to take off Duke, to take off Majowski, to take off Clarkson was I don't know why Goodwin did that because they lost all their attacking threat. But I just think that game next week against Rangers is going to be huge. I think if Aberdeen can win a trophy this season, what a boost that would be. But I think at times Goodwin doesn't help himself with the substitutions he makes. I wouldn't have taken Duke off because for me, he's the best player at the moment. I wouldn't have taken him off. You keep your best players on, make sure the game's won, then take him off. Don't do it when the game's not won yet.
Graham's meters ran out because we can hardly see him now. Maybe that's a good thing for the audience or whatever. But oh no, he's back. Yeah, he's back. So good one for Aberdeen yesterday, 2-0 to St Johnstone. But St Johnstone is weeks ago, Graham, we were on the show and they beat Rangers, and Rangers were going through a bit of a sticky spell at the time, and you're thinking, well, surely that's got to give Callum Davidson and St Johnstone a lift, but and they've had a few good wins, but now they're going up to Aberdeen getting beat as well. It's like stop-start,
Yeah, it is a bit. I mean, again, it does seem mental that a few seasons ago, or a couple of seasons ago, we're talking about, or was the last season even, could Callum Davidson be sacked, having won 2 trophies for a couple of St Johnstone and finished top 6? And he has turned it round. And again, we spoke about this before, the fact that they signed Nicky Clark was a massive boost for them. But yesterday, I just don't think they were great yesterday. They didn't offer enough going forward. And that's a bit of a worry for me because they do have players in that forward area that can cause a problem. But they won't be judged in that game yesterday. They've had a decent season so far. I don't think they'll finish top 6, but maybe not far off it. But they are a very up and down club. But a lot of teams in the league are up and down. You know, they go through periods where they do well. They go through periods where they don't do well. But I like Callum Davidson. He's a good manager. He's very honest. I like the way he comes across. And I like the fact as well, I said this before, that I like the fact that Jeff Brown didn't pull the trigger and react. I like the fact that he kept him in the job. And he's done well so far. I just think, again, something I said before, I would like to see St Johnstone getting a bit more fans at home, because McDermott Park's a great wee ground. It really is. And I'd like to see them get a bit of a fan base. But they are a very good club, a very well-run club. And yesterday they were poor, but I'm sure they'll bounce back.
Talking about a good atmosphere, it looks a good atmosphere. Tara guys, it looks as though it's going to be a full house. Before that, Stephen Fletcher gets a half a chance in front of the goal, Glenn, but it's still 22 minutes gone, still Dundee and they kick down Rangers now. Yeah,
there's not really been a lot of creativity in the game so far. I think if you're United, you'll be delighted with that, because the last thing you want is to concede an early goal. So they're doing well so far. They're keeping themselves in the game, and I keep saying it. The first goal could be crucial in this game. If United can get it, have something to hold on to, it could be very interesting.
Oh, no, it's a corner. I thought I thought the rest got the game there for a VR check on something. I need to see the replay back. I never saw anything on the live version, but it's a corner. It's Dundee United. And yeah, nothing's came over at Graham Skull now. Okay, let's move on now to speak about Ross County 0, Livingston 2. And I don't know if you put your CV in yet, Graham, for the assistant manager's job at Livy.
No, I've not, but maybe not a bad shout, actually. Maybe not a bad shout. I could maybe help out Martindale.
It's no far from your house, Graham.
It's not far in the car, but I don't drive, so maybe it's a bit further than normal.
Yeah, I would say maybe not, because you don't want to walk it there every day, you know, icy pavements and all that.
I'd get fit if I walked, but it's a long way. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, so 2-0 to Livingston, and again, Livingston seems to upset the odds, or do they, Graham, every season, going away from home and putting on a good performance?
Yeah, and again, I like David Martindale's honesty after the game yesterday, because he'd say that they maybe were a little bit fortunate to win that game. They were just more clinical than Ross County. Bruce Anderson scores 2 goals in 3 minutes. It's a big, big win for Livingston. But I don't know how many times we have to say this, and I know if Reagan's watching, he might not agree, but they are such a good club. You know, they give everything. They are such a, maybe not the best team on the eye, but you know what you're going to get with them. They just cause so many problems, and that's a big, big win yesterday. Huge win away from home. Again, I think Livingston could potentially be top 6 club, maybe finish 5th or something, but that's a big, big win. But for me, Ross County, they are a massive worry. They've only scored 14 goals this season. And again, they had a couple of big, big chances yesterday. And again, I heard Marky McCarr after the game saying they have to take these chances, and they do. I don't want to be harsh here, but I think they're going to go down. They just don't score enough goals, and I think they could be going down this season.
Oh, it's between them and Kilmarnock, you would say.
Yeah, they have to strengthen this window. They have to bring a couple of strikers in, because they're not scoring enough. They had 2 or 3 very big chances yesterday that if they take, they might not lose that game. And, you know, you have to say fair play to Livingston. They scored 2 goals on the break, or certainly the second one was anyway, but they scored 2 goals, get the win back up the road. And David Martindale was very honest yesterday. He just said that they were more clinical than Ross County, but there wasn't much between the teams. And he was right. There wasn't much between the teams.
Just looking at there was maybe a potential handball in the the Rangers Dundee United game against Goldson. I'm trying to see a replay of that, but it's still.
Do you know what? I've actually just seen it. I think that's a penalty, and I'm not just saying this. I think that's a penalty from what I've seen.
Yeah, I need to see it back again, Graham. You know that way. I'm trying to keep an eye on the show as well, but like I would need to see that back again, but it was a corner kick, wasn't it?
It was. The ball's played in, it's headed down, and for me, that's a handball for me. Again, the handball rule is so subjective again, but I think that looks like a handball to me.
They're not showing you a replay, Graham, so we can't. Well, the ball's out of play now. Here we go, Graham. Yep. They've only showed you it once there, Graham, but yeah, that is a penalty because the ball goes to his hand.
Yeah, I think that's a penalty all day long.
Yeah. No, still half an hour gone now, and still 0-0, and Rangers are kind of like coming into the game now, Glenn, but they're not offering much.
No, I think again you've got to give credit to United. They're defending really well. They're really well set up. They're not giving Cholak a lot of time. There's a chance here for Rangers though in behind. That's good defending in the end. But yeah, I mean, Rangers haven't really offered a lot. They are carrying a threat, but not a lot. And I do think United look dangerous going forward. I think they look okay going forward. But again, I know that I might get accused of being biased here, even though I'm a Hearts fan, which I shouldn't be. But I think that's a penalty. Only seen that once, I think that's a penalty.
Yeah, because if you've not so the replay yet, if anybody's watching the show, the ball actually goes to his arm. His arm is basically out. And it's not high, Graham, but when the ball was coming in, that the ball was at its hand tight, if that makes sense.
I mean, honestly, I would love a referee or something to come on and tell me why that's not been given, or tell me what this handball rule is, because I don't understand what's handball and what's not anymore. Because looking at that just one time looks a penalty in what I've seen.
And yet, what's the difference with the penalty they gave at Celtic Park last week with, who was it? Janovic was it, with the corner kick, and he kind of jumped up. The ball was behind him, and they gave a penalty.
Yeah, and it's funny, it's Goldson again after the Celtic Rangers game, isn't it? But that looked more of a handball there than the one last week. But again, I think they're both penalties. But that's why I would love somebody to tell me what the handball rule is, because I don't know what the handball rule is anymore.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't want to say the refs are making up as they go along, but as you and me said, Graham, at the time, that it's all like bringing VR into Scottish football, but it depends who's watching the VR. And another thing as well, Graham, that you've got to ask yourself, is the ref never went over to the monitor? Why did you not go over to the monitor?
Well, again, that's what I said on Friday about the Celtic Rangers game. Why was John Beaton not asked to go and look at that? And again, the referee, I don't know who it is today, but the referee clearly wasn't asked to go and look at that. I think if he goes,
Stephen McLean's the ref, I think, Graham.
Is it?
I don't know who's VR.
Well, I think if he goes to look at that, I think he gives a penalty for that.
I mean, to be honest, it's always things like that, Graham, that obviously we can spend a whole show doing VR decisions, right? But it's decisions like that. You don't really need VR because it's playing on your nose to say it's a different penalty.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're an opposition player, you're claiming for that. If I'm Liam Fox and I'm seeing that on the monitor, which I'm sure he would have done, you're saying, why is that not a penalty? And I wonder if after the game he might have something to say about that, because he must have seen
it. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I've only saw one scream in the replay, and it was a set penalty, you know.
But yeah, I mean, unless there's a different angle, I've only seen it once as well, and once is enough for me to say that's a penalty from what I've seen. I might change my mind if I see it a couple of times, but from what I've seen so far, that definitely looked a penalty for me.
Mm-hmm. And I think that when obviously I'm doing the show as well, but the VR check was very quick.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Sometimes I don't mind that the VR decisions are getting made a lot quicker, but for that, I mean, I don't mind if that takes a bit longer if you get the right decision, but that was maybe a little bit quicker. But I just keep saying the one view that I've had of that, it looked a penalty.
Oh, Dungey Rangers maybe claiming for penalty there, I would say, Graham. I don't know if you saw that. McCann putting back Kovac in the box.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't think there's much in that, but again, it's one of these ones that I'm sure VR would have checked, and I don't know if we'll see a replay of that actually.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so the replay ones, and he can like pull them back. So the game's beginning to open up now, Graham. That's good because
they just showed a stat there actually that says that Čolak has had a fewest amount of touches of anyone on the pitch. He only has 7 touches, so it just shows that he's not getting a lot of the ball so far.
I guess so. You that Dundee United's done the homework on him.
Yeah, they are. They've done really well so far, and I have to say, United have done very well. I mean, they're looking confident. They're looking decent on the ball. They're looking quite composed. They're causing a threat. Won't give them away there though.
I mean, that's half an hour, Graham.
I think Liam Fox would be delighted with us. You know, they're showing a good appetite for the game, and again, they did the same thing against Hearts. They look very good. They're looking dangerous. Stephen Fletcher causing a threat. I think United so far have done very, very well so far. I think Liam Fox will be delighted with us.
Going back to the game yesterday, sorry, Ross County and Livingston fans, if you're watching, we get carried away there watching the game, but it is live radio. Dundee, Livingston won 2-0, and Bruce Anderson at the double again for Livingston.
Yeah, he's really stepped up since Joe Newbley's been out the team. Again, Joe Newbley's been brilliant, but I think Anderson's done very well. You know, really good yesterday. And I just think Livingston, for me, they are, you know what you're going to get with them. They are very well organised. They're a difficult team to break down. And, you know, they were clinical yesterday, took their chances. Again, the two managers both said there wasn't a lot in the game, and I do agree. But you have to be clinical in this game. Livingston were, Ross County weren't. And I think if Livingston can finish top 6 this season, I think David Martindale's done a tremendous job. And again, something else I keep going back to, how he doesn't get mentioned for bigger jobs, I do not understand, because he's such a good manager. Obviously, he's lost Marvin Bartley now. I'm sure there'll be plenty of folk looking to take the number 2 job, but he's just such an honest manager as well. The way he spoke after the game yesterday, I really like David Martindale. I think he's a very good manager.
I mean, the only shot I noted yesterday was for Ross County was Ross Callaghan's shot at goal. But apart from that, Glenn, they really never offered anything.
Yeah, and again, that's a worry. They don't score enough goals, and if you don't score enough goals, you're going to be in trouble. But I mean, I think Malcolm McCarthy, I'm sure I heard him saying the radio yesterday that they are looking to bring a couple more players in, and they need that. They absolutely need that, because they just look so short going forwards. You know, losing Regan Charles-Cook and Hungbo and not replacing them, I mean, that for me is a massive, massive blow. They have to strengthen this window. They've got plenty of time. They've got 3 or 4 weeks yet to strengthen, and they need to do it quickly, because I just think at the moment, I think they look like they're going to be going down.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, we were saying last season a bit like David Martindale and Callum Davidson, St Johnson as well. Ross County, I mean, Malcolm Mackay, that was a good appointment, and his start could go well, but now he's starting to find it more difficult.
It is. I mean, a lot of people were surprised that he got the job in the first place. Again, I can understand why, but I just think he's done a good job, but he just needs to strengthen the window. You know, I think me and David and I spoke about this on Friday. They need to strengthen that window and get a couple of strikers in. If they can do that, they give themselves a chance of staying up. But at the moment, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I think they're going straight, but I think they're going down, and they'll find it very hard to get out this league. They have to start scoring goals. I think I looked at a stat yesterday. They've not actually scored 2 or more goals for at least 2 months. So that shows where the problems lie. They just don't score goals.
Yeah, that's worrying if you're a County fan.
Yeah, I mean, they do play decent football at times, but you can play all the good football you want. If you don't score goals, you're going to have problems.
Yeah, that's... I was going to say, I never knew that, Glenn. That was the outcome of the games. If you don't score, you don't win games. I never knew that about football, but thanks for putting in the picture. And that's the roundup of yesterday's games. usually when we watch games in the highlights, you would say that was a kind of decent game. Apart from the St Mirren Hearts game, there wasn't a lot of kind of like decent games yesterday. You would that too kind of like excited about.
No, I think Celtic Kilmarnock was pretty routine. I think Aberdeen St Johnstone was pretty routine. Obviously, Livingston getting that massive 3 points. And yeah, the Hearts game was a game of two halves, really. You know, St Mirren were better team first half, Hearts were the better team second half. And actually, what I found interesting, which I just forgot until now, was I heard Stephen Robinson after the game, and he was asked about potential new signings, and he said there probably won't be any. That's a surprise, a real surprise. You know, to come out public and say, I don't think we'll get anyone else in the window. You know, I don't know whether he's doing that just to, I don't know why he said that, to be honest, but that's a bit of a shock to me, to come out public to say we'll probably won't get anyone else in the window. Real surprise for me.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah. And talking about the transfer window, Graham, we've got a show coming up on the 31st of this month, because the window is going to be shut at midnight. And of course, the big shows keep happening, Graham, because we've got another show that night as well on the transfer window night, and that'll be a good show. It'll be a busy show as well. So get to your bed early the night before the show, because it's going to be a busy show.
Yeah, it will be. It's a thought I had last season as well. I've wanted to do it because nobody seems to do a transfer window show anymore, like a live one. And I thought it'll be good to actually have like a live window 10 till 12 to talk about all the transfers that are coming in, all the transfers that have happened in the window. So yeah, hopefully 10 till 12 on the 31st, we'll do a live transfer window show. So, you know, it'll be great. And I think hopefully we'll get a few people on as well at that point. I know there's a couple of folk want to come on. So yeah, should be interesting.
And then obviously we've got the Scotland games coming up as well in February, March. So we've got a busy wee pile, Graham. So don't go on holiday anytime soon, right, Graham? But make sure your Wi-Fi's working, because we need you, mate. Yeah, so the best two pundits on the radio, they can't be here today, but you know, myself and Graham's been asked to fill in for Regan and Dave Smith. They'll be back one sunny day. Yeah, so keep your comments coming in. We're here till 5 o'clock on Facebook Live or YouTube, and obviously you can get us on our Twitter at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well. Of course, you're watching the Locker Room live on Indie Live Radio and Independence Live. We're here every Friday night between 5 and 7, and Sunday 3 until 5. Graham, I'm watching a Dundee United Rangers game coming up for 40 minutes. And do you think if you were a Rangers fan, you would be quite concerned because it's still 0-0? But in saying that, if you were Liam Fox, you would be quite happy?
I think if you're Fox, you're delighted. They've done very well this first half. And again, I keep saying it, they should have a penalty. I'll need to try and see it at half-time. They should have a penalty. But I think they've done very well. They've really restricted Rangers to very few chances. If you're Liam Fox, you'll be delighted with us. And I think you've got a good crowd there as well at Tannadice today who will be right behind the sides. I think if you're Michael Beale, you'll be disappointed. They've not been great. Yeah, very good. Boom, boom. Yeah, you wouldn't be very happy with that first half performance. They've not played with a lot of urgency, a particularly great tempo. They'll hope for better second half. You know, there's currently, I think now they'll be 11 points behind Celtic if this result was to stay the same. So they have to play better second half. Again, I keep saying this. If you're Michael Beale, you just want to win games. Performances maybe don't matter, but they've not been great today. But again, you've got to give credit to United. United have been excellent so far.
Am I right in saying, Graham, Michael Beale's performances so far, well, Rangers' performances so far, Rangers' team's performances so far have been very poor in the first half, but in the second half, they've kind of stepped it up?
Yeah, they do. They have been. Again, they've won games without playing particularly well. This might be another occasion today, but I think at times they've been okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they've been overly impressive all the games. I think even against Motherwell, the game they won 3-0, they weren't at their best.
Oh,
But all you can do is win games.
another chance there for Dundee United, Graham. I don't know if you saw that. Smith had a brilliant chance right in front of goal, but goes to the right-hand side of the post. Still 0-0. Rangers are coming forward. Now, it was end-to-end, Graham.
Yeah, these are the games you like, these end-to-end games, rather than you sometimes get 0-0 draws that aren't particularly great. This one's been okay so far, but I will say it again, this first goal, if there is one, could be crucial.
What you see this chance again, Graham? Smith, brilliant chance. Just about, I would say, 10 yards out from goal, you would say, but just pick it to the left-hand side of the post. Gets Dundee United coming forward as well. 41 minutes gone on the clock, still 0-0, and gets McGregor. Oh, I'm saying McGregor. It's McLaughlin. Safe pair of hands at the back for Rangers. Still 0-0 on the game. Let's speak about the game when we came on air. There was a game taking place at Fir Park between Motherwell and Hibs. And if you're a Motherwell fan, it's a bit concerning because you would want that game at Easter Road today. Maybe you would have won that game, Graham.
Yeah, again, Motherwell were okay in spells in that game. Should have really, maybe could have got a draw at that game. They did have chances. But yeah, their home form's not been great. And I think, Stevie Hamill's done a decent job, but again, they have to strengthen that window. They have to bring a couple of strikers in because really Van Veen is the only option they've got up front. And he wasn't at his best today, so they have to get that sorted. But yeah, Motherwell's home form's not been great. I did say I think they've not won since October. Not at home, but they've just not won in general since October. A few worries there for Stevie Hamill, but for Hibs, a huge 3 points. When the game gets back to 3-2, you're thinking, could they throw this away? I think Lee Johnson will be very happy with that today. A massive, massive 3 points on the board. They had to get that. And a hat-trick for Kevin Nisbet. He'll be very, very happy with that because he's been a little bit of form. He wasn't great against Hearts, but none of the Hibs players were, to be honest. So, yeah, it's a huge 3 points for Hibs. They needed that.
Especially in the last couple of weeks, Hibs had not a very good run of form, getting battled, you would say, by Celtic and getting battled by your team, Hearts, the other week in the derby as well.
Yeah, and again, I just think some of the comments Lee Johnson's come up with the press, they've not been particularly positive about his own team. That's not great to hear, but he won't be critical today. I don't think he'll be quite delighted with the 3 points. And a decent performance, I say, at times today. I think defensively they're a bit still naive at times, but it's a big, big 3 points for them. And it'll just take a little bit of pressure off Lee Johnson now because he was under pressure. There's no doubt about that.
And as I said, Motherwell, they would want that game to be away from home. In fact, maybe they would want out of the game for the entire the remainder of the season to be away from home as well because the home form has not been very good.
Yeah, it's strange how things like that work out. You'd expect your home form to be better than the away form, but that's the way things work out sometimes. Motherwell away from home have been okay. Again, they're maybe not picking up enough points. I think Motherwell, if any Motherwell fans are watching this, they will be fine. I don't think there'll be any problem at all. Whether they finish top 6, I'm not sure because they don't have enough up front again, like a lot of teams in this league. But yeah, they should be fine. I think Hamill's done a decent job, but they have to bring strikers in.
Yeah, no, I hate to go on about this, Glenn, but I think Murrell's missing that kind of like Tony Watt because Kevin Van Veen. If I was a Murrell fan, he would frustrate the hell out of me at times.
Yeah, I go back to that chance they had before Hibs scored the opening goal. If he takes a better touch, he's in on goal with a chance to get a shot away. It's just a poor touch. Hibs got the park and score. So yeah, Van Veen is very frustrating at times. Again, at times he looks very good. At times he's a little bit, you're unsure about him, but they have to strengthen that area because Connor Shields, again, is a championship striker for me. And apart from that, they don't have many other options, so they have to bring strikers in this window. And I'm sure Stevie Hamill will do that. And if he doesn't, maybe I have a concern there.
What do you think Murrell's missing, Graham?
A goal threat, apart from Van Veen. That's maybe need a bit more quality midfield as well, a bit more creativity in there. And again, if you look at the 3 goals they conceded today as well, defensively they were very, very poor. You know, Hibs probably the first goal. You look at the goal, Kevin Nisbet's unmarked in the box. You can't do that. You know, Nisbet's a good striker. You can't leave him unmarked in the box. The second goal, it's poor marking again. You know, it's just poor defending from Motherwell. But they lack that bit of creativity in midfield, and they lack that striker up top that's going to help Kevin Van Veen out. It's 0-0 half-time at Tannadice. This is going to be a big second half for Rangers. They have to get 3 points in this game.
Massive Rangers support there, Graham, at Tannadice, and they saw their team going up the tunnel 0-0, as you say. They'll be very disappointed, but if you're Liam Fox, or Liam Foxy, as some people like to call him in the game, you would be quite pleased with that performance. Because Dundee United had a few chances at goal.
I think if I'm Liam Fox, I'm saying same again second half. You just try and add that goal, but he'll be delighted with that first half. Really, really pleased.
I would then glad to see that penalty incident again, Graham.
Yeah, again, they'll have to see it at half time here, but I mean, the thing is, if you're a Rangers fan, it's not a penalty. United fan, it's a penalty. But as a fan of another club, I'm looking at it thinking that looks a penalty to me. If I'm an opposition fan, I'm claiming for that all day long because it looked a penalty from first time I saw it. But maybe the replay on the highlights here will show better. But I don't need 3 or 4 takes to see that's a penalty.
No, exactly. And obviously, going back to what we're saying earlier on, Graham, and obviously we don't want to, I should get kept my mouth shut actually, because when I said to you at the top of the show, we won't have any VR decisions to talk about. I won't mention that anymore, right? But I mean, decisions like that to me, I don't know. I know all decisions like handball, offside, blah blah blah, has to go to VAR, but decisions like that, like everybody can see it, so why take it to VAR?
Well, if you go back to a couple of decisions recently, like you've got, I'll say Celtic because they're the ones that seem to have been frustrated more than anybody. But you look at the one against Dundee United from Bernabe, who had his back turned and a penalty is given. You look at the one from Matt O'Reilly against Ross County, where he knew nothing about it as a penalty. What's the difference between that and the one that Connor Goldson's just done in that United game? I don't see any difference with that. For me, that one there, for the Connor Goldson one, is more a penalty than the other 2. So again, the inconsistencies are incredible.
And then you've got Michael Smith's one, the handball. And even if you ask Michael Smith today, he would say that was a penalty. And you know yourself, Grim, when you're watching the Hearts game, he knew it was a penalty. Maybe you knew it was a penalty, but VR didn't give a penalty.
You can always tell by players' reactions, and you can see from Michael Smith's face, he knew he got away with that one. And I said at the time, watching it as a Hearts fan, I said at the time, I am genuinely astonished that wasn't given, because it's a penalty clear as day. I can see that clear as day. So, and again, you look at the one last week for Connor Golson against Celtic. I mean, how is that not given? I don't understand that. And again, why is John Beaton not asked to go and look at that? Now, Willie Collum in that little room might think it's not a penalty, but do you know what? Get the referee over and let him decide. And if he says it's not a penalty, fair enough, but get him over.
Well, it's a bit like what Andy Postecoglou said on Friday. Don't let VR ref the game. Let the ref boss the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think for me, every referee should be looking at the monitor. If you've got a contentious decision, it might take a bit longer, which is fair enough. But if you've got a contentious decision, let the referee go and have a look himself. And if he then decides it's a penalty or it's not a penalty, then that's his decision. Don't let it be a guy in a room saying that's not a penalty. Let the guy on the pitch decide if it's a penalty or not.
And what even makes it worse as well, these 2 decisions, the game last week with Golson, and again today, funnily enough, with Golson, these games are on the TV, so not only people in Scotland's watching it, people from all around the world's watching it, and they say, well, they're not using VR to the full extreme, you know.
You know, it's funny. I think you look at like England, The ones in England seem a bit better now, and they're getting the VR decisions right mainly. In Scotland, we're still making an absolute mess of it, and it's that handball rule that's the contentious one. That's the one that needs cleared up more than anything, because I still don't know what's a penalty and what's not, what's going to be given, what's not going to be given, and it must be really frustrating for the managers as well. Whether you're Postecoglou, Beale, Liam Fox, Robin Nielsen, these calls, you have VR there to help the referees, and it's clearly not working. And I go back to what I said a few weeks ago when I had David Ferguson on the show. You look at what Ian Maxwell said. You know, he said that VAR is going to be horrendous for the first few months. I mean, that's your chief executive saying that. What chance have you got?
Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't be coming out to say anything. You know, he should be keeping his mouth shut. You know, for the first few months as well. And a lot of people's got to come out and say, well, why did they not put VR in at the beginning of the season? I know that's a whole entirely different show, but I mean, it feels as though Scottish football is just kind of putting in to appease the fans, but not. Yeah. Am I being a bit harsh in saying that, Graham?
No, I don't think so. And then, but the thing is, again, you had a few weeks ago Ian Maxwell again coming out and saying that VAR's working. Well, I don't think it is, and clearly it's not, because you've had numerous managers come out and saying that certain decisions they don't understand, and it's that handball rule. That's the one that's the most contentious. Here we go. Actually, they're showing the replay again here. Can't really see for that angle. That's a penalty. I'm sorry, that's a penalty.
Yeah, I'm a few minutes behind you, Graham. So yeah, but I'm sure I'll get to the penalty very, very soon. But yeah, here we go. Yep. He actually, Graham. Yeah, I'm just seeing this. He's actually moving. He's trying to move his arm away, right? But the speed of the ball's coming in. He can't get it away. If you know what I mean. So yeah, it's a penalty all day long.
I don't understand how that's not been given. I really don't understand how that's not been given in any game. I mean, the funny thing is, and I heard this actually mentioned on one of the shows that I listened to last night. See if that's outside the box. That's a free kick. So yeah. Why is it not a penalty in the box? I don't understand how that's not been given.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to come up in the second half. Obviously, we've got a few minutes left, so as the game kicks off, Graham will be off here, but hopefully it'll be a good second half. But it's been a kind of like enjoyable watch so far.
It has been, and I think United will be delighted with the way they've played so far. They can keep that up second half, but I will be very interested to hear what Liam Fox's thoughts are after the game on that handball decision.
But I mean, Graham,
he would have seen it.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is it not a breath of fresh air that they're showing you 2 games from Scotland, but we know why the 2 games are on. But you know, it makes a difference instead of a 12 o'clock kickoff on the Sunday.
I know, it's great.
It makes it better for us because we've got things to talk about.
I know, it's been quite nice actually, because obviously the FA Cups are in England, but they don't show that on Sky, so they're getting to show these Scottish games, and it is great. And you know, you've had 5 goals in the first game, you've had a decent first half in this game, no goals yet, but it's been a decent first half. So yeah, it's highlighting the Scottish football, and hopefully, I'm sure they probably aren't, but if people in England are watching these games, they'll think, actually, you know what, Scottish football is not actually that bad. It's
just a VR they've got to get right sometimes. But anyway, so thanks for Graham for joining me on the locker room on a Sunday, first Sunday of the new year, Graham. Wow. Merry Christmas already. Where's the time going? We'll be back next Friday. And then Friday and Saturday and Sunday, because we're on for the League Cup games Saturday night. Don't forget Celtic Kilmarnock Sunday, Aberdeen Rangers in the semi-final of the League Cup, and then we'll be back for the transfer window on the 31st of the month. and keep it here on Indie Live Radio on Independent Live every Friday and Sunday. We're on between 3 and 5, Friday night 5 to 7. Graham, thanks for joining me as always, and pay your lecky. And we'll be back on the show soon. And enjoy the second cast.